Hello guys, welcome to a new video where I will show you how to quickly write tests with Podam. This library will help you to write input data quickly and randomly. This goes together with a playlist where I build a backend server with Spring Boot. If you're ready, click on subscribe and let's go. Podam is a dependency that will write content for you. I use it very often when writing unit tests. First, I split my unit test in the given, when, then parts. And in the given part I instantiate my input data. Nevertheless, sometimes my input data tends to be big and long. I have some objects, we have plenty of fields, and it's boring to set a dummy value to each field. Here comes Podam. With Podam, you specify which object you want to fill with the dummy data. And Podam will check the data type of each field, set a random value and create the final object. Let's start by adding the Maven dependency. Now in the before all, I build the factory. The factory contains the rules to build an object. Now from my test, I indicate which object I want to build, put it as an input parameter to the factory, and let the Podam factory build the object. Podam will call the constructor and the setters to fill all the available data. Let's run the test and see if it's still green. Yeah, it almost still works. But what's the content of my object now? I'm gonna put a breakpoint to inspect the object. Whoa, when it says it's random data, I've never imagined that random data. But my application should work even with that, which is the case. I should have some JavaX constraint to have a limit on the name's length. It can work with size or with max, or even with min if you want. Let's go now with the image object, where I have a URL to set. The point here is that the URL, the path, is stored in plain text, and Podam doesn't know it's a URL, it's a path, and it will generate a random text. So, first I want to ignore this field and set it manually. For that, I will add the following annotation. This way, Podam will exclude this field when generating the object. Great, now I can set it the way I want. But what if I use Podam to write random strings which looks like an URL? I will create my custom Podam strategy to indicate Podam how to fill this field. The strategy must implement attribute strategy and return me a string. Now I have the value returned from my strategy, and in the implementation I can return whatever I want. One last point, what happens with lists or maps? Will Podam create an empty list or an empty map? Will Podam create one item or how much? In fact, Podam will create a random number of elements for the lists and maps, with random values depending on the type of the elements. But what if I want a specific number of elements? Let's go back to the users. I want the list of messages to be no more than 10, as it's a pagination. This way, Podam will create up to 10 elements of the message object, and for the message object it will look at each field and set it randomly. It won't only create random values for the current object, but also for the children object. Here I have 10 objects with random values for each item. I use Podam a lot on many projects where I have to build complicated objects for testing purpose. I may have problems if I only use fixed values. I may not test the length limits, the size limits for lists, dates which are far away or in the past. As Podam injects random values for the objects, I must be prepared for anything. I may even run the test several times to be sure that all the extreme values are tested almost once. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you will write tests more quickly now. Don't forget to click on the like button and subscribe to my channel, and see you in the next video. Bye!